During this month, we've been talking about understanding the human consciousness, and we've talked a lot about energy, haven't we? How we share our energy with each other, how we need to monitor our energy better, things that we could do. So, since this is Palm Sunday, I wanted to look at Jesus' activity that last week and possibly look at it from an energy perspective. So, we know that Jesus actually saw people when he looked at them. He saw their souls, he saw their energy fields. He was a prophet, he saw what was going to come. He could understand the celestial aspect of every man. He understood that eternal part of every man. And we accept that, don't we? Yes. When he would talk to people, he would try to reach them at their level of consciousness and then try to bring them up to a space where they could understand a different way, an energy way, perhaps beyond the physical that they were looking at. And in 102:2, it says, he is talking even to the 12, and he says to them, many things about the inner life cannot be written in a book. In John, he says to them, I have many things to tell you, but you cannot grasp them now. And then in 162:2, he says, there are a multitude of things yet to be said, things that this age cannot yet receive because it cannot comprehend. All the while he taught what could be received. But he also told them there's more. There's more that I could tell you, more that I would love to tell you. But at this point you can't understand it. So listen to what I am saying and do the best you can with it. And of course his guideline was always love, was it not? So when we come into Palm Sunday, understanding that this is going to be his last week, he's making his journey into Jerusalem for Passover. And this Passover is when he will be crucified. He knows this. As he comes into the city, he has just resurrected Lazarus from the dead a few days before. On his journey to Jerusalem, he went through a town called Bethany. And in Bethany, Bartimaeus, you may remember his story, he was a blind man. And Jesus is walking by, and Bartimaeus screams out to him, Jesus, it's Bartimaeus here, heal me. And everybody says, shut up, you're too bold. And he says, no, I want my gift. And Jesus restores his sight. So this is all on the journey into Jerusalem. And from Dr. Erica, we understand that if a holy man comes into the city, it's standard procedure that the priests and Pharisees would go out and greet him with great pomp and circumstance. And they did not. And so Jesus is entering the city on the donkey, and the people, the multitudes come to meet him. Not the Pharisees, not the priests. And they come to meet him, and they're saying, all hail the King, all hail Son of David. They're putting the palm branches before him. The children are dancing. Everybody's gathering. And they're so excited. They're so excited because this man, who they've been hearing about all along, has just performed such magical miracles. They want to see who he is. They want to see him. They want to listen to him. They want to be a part of him. They know that he brings something that they do not possess. And they celebrate him. And we know the story when the priests say to Jesus, the Pharisees say to him, would you please shut the rabble down? They're making too much noise. And Jesus says to the priest, you know, if I did, the very rocks would cry out. Because what I begin today has more energy than you will ever understand. What is happening in this moment is greater than even these people can understand. And it was the beginning of a massive transformation. But we metaphysically acknowledge Palm Sunday as the day race consciousness bowed to the Christ. And he let them call him king. And it's the first time he ever did. He always stopped them. He would always say, I'm not the king. There's God is king. But he let them. Because his new world was beginning. The world of spirit, the world of energy was beginning. So they bowed to the Christ, but did they understand the Christ? They could see what they could see. When you look at how the people must have felt when they went to greet him, they're looking through the eyes of matter, are they not? He moved matter in a way it's not supposed to move. He is something else. I feel love when I hear his words. He is something else. So they're responding from that human space, which is what we all do, yes? Until we can rise to something higher. So he enters the kingdom, and that's in chapter 151. Immediately, because of Lazarus, because of Bartimaeus, he goes to the temple, and what's the first thing that happens? Everybody brings the sick, the lame, the deaf, and he spends that day healing everybody that was there, everybody that wanted to be touched, he was there. So he spends that day healing. And then in the aquarium, we're blessed to have a recap of that week. So he enters in on Sunday. We know he will be crucified on Friday. Can you imagine your last week on earth with such a mission? How do I reach these people? How do I reach them to show them what I see? So he taught. On Monday it says that he goes to the temple, and as a little girl from Human Eyes, I didn't like this story at all. He goes to the temple, and the people are selling sacrifices. And we know, historically, what they would do is travelers would come to Jerusalem and could not bring their lambs and sheep and things to sacrifice. But they would bring money, so they would go to the temple and they would buy the lamb, the sheep, whatever they needed, and they would pay a lot of money. Do you understand? Like, it's not bargain prices, it's top of the line prices. And these men, these merchants who would sell these sacrifices, were making quite a bit of money, and they were not there for God. They were not honoring the feeling of the people who came in. And Jesus came in and he asked them kindly, would you mind not doing this? This is disrupting the energy of God's love. And they said, ha, 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 ha. We are protected by the law and you cannot make us leave. And he said, okay. Dumped over their tables, let their birds free, kicked them all out, and then he took a clean broom and swept the floor. Now, as a little kid reading that and hearing that, you go, whoa, Jesus is getting a little aggressive here. This isn't like what he normally teaches. He's loving and kind and soft. But if you look at it with energy eyes, what did he see? What did he see was going on? It would be like someone standing at our front entrance, charging you money to get in. Do you understand? And we would go, please don't do that. Please don't do that. Do you think Patrick would hold back too long? Before he'd find a broom? And start sweeping them off? And to Jesus, that's what it was. It was the energy of not supporting the temple. They were in the temple. But human eyes, we go, we have to look through the energy eyes. So, do you think that lesson stayed with them?
Yes.
I think it stayed with them. Then, that very day, he was on a roll, and he was walking home, and there was a fig tree that had no fruit. It was a beautiful tree. Beautiful fig tree, had great leaves, no fruit at all. And he said to the fig tree, again, very difficult to understand, he said to the fig tree, you are not bearing fruit, and you are sucking up all the life force of this planet. Go back to the earth and be food for other plants. And as you read it, you go, whoa, harsh there, dude. Loving, kind. Why didn't he bless the fig tree to blossom? Why didn't he step in and do something different? This is last week. He has to teach fast. They go home. The next morning, on Tuesday, the 12 disciples in here walking down the road, coming back to the temple to teach again. And Peter says, Lord, the fig tree's dead. Look at that. Remember you sent it to the ground yesterday? It's dead now. And then this is what he said. Okay, fig tree's dead. Chapter 153. So it shall be with those who bear no fruit. When God shall call them up to give account, he will breathe upon them their leaves, and their empty words will wither. Then he said, now you can demonstrate the power of God, Have faith in God, and you could bid the mountains to depart, and they will crumble at your feet. You may talk to the wind and wave, and it will hear you and obey what you command. God hears the prayer of the faith. When you ask in faith, you shall receive. Do you hear what he's saying? You can talk to the mountain, and it will crumble at your feet. You can talk to the wind and wave, and it will move to your command. What is he showing them? But the power of their own energy on this planet. The power of energy to create. The power of energy to command. The power of energy to use God-life force to mold matter. Now, how many of you have brought down a literal mountain? We haven't done it yet. We bring down mountains of issues. We can do that. We bring down emotional mountains. But he is saying you have the capacity to bring down a physical mountain. How many of you have calmed the winds and the seas? We do it. How many? Raise your hand if you've done it. Okay. We've at least got that much down, where we stand and pray and ask for the rain to hold until we get in, or the ceremony is complete, or the wind to calm, or the hurricane to move that direction. We at least try that, don't we? What a spiritual insight was he giving to these people? You have the power to do these things. It's my last week. Wake up, people. If having the tree go to the ground will help you remember this, the tree's going to the ground. And then he says, but God will not do for any man what man will not do for others. You must have the capacity. God's not a magic wand is what he's saying. You can't make God do bad for you because you want it. God's not a magic wand. God is love. And if you align to give forth your fruit to the world, be fruitful, give forth your fruit to the world, whatever you ask will come to you. Because as you give, so you shall receive. He's trying to connect them with the infinite power of God. You guys seeing this? Okay. He says, he who harbors envious thoughts and does not love his fellow man can pray for whatever he wants. God energy can't move into that if you don't love your fellow man. God will work for man when they work. God works for the man who works for man, who shares his love. All right. When we see this, this isn't like a blind faith he's asking of them. It's like a stand up and do it energy. Don't just have faith in God, be God. Stand up and do it. You guys can do this. Do you think they heard? They probably did the next time there was a storm. Okay, I know how to do this. They probably did. All right. He was trying to remove the limitation of matter. Selfish game, I'm sorry. Don't use God for selfish gain. You don't set your vendors up in front of God so you prosper on God. You don't use God for self. You use God for love and light and goodness. All right. It says in the next day, he went back to the temple, and the people on Monday had built a platform for him. They built a platform in the temple court so they could see him and hear him. They wanted to know what he had to say. Not the priests, not the Pharisees. Why do you think the priests and Pharisees were getting really upset? The multitude was listening to this man, and this man was saying things that nobody had heard before. The power to do these things? I don't know. That takes power away from us. That's not a good thing. So the people built a platform, and Jesus stood on the platform, and in the aquarium we hear the parables. He told them repeatedly about the kingdom of God. And it always starts out with, the kingdom of God is like a beautiful rich man with a beautiful estate, and everybody's happy and well fed. You know what I'm saying? The kingdom of God is like a rich man having a wedding, and everybody's invited. We always start out in the abundant energy. And as the parable goes on, and then the rich man goes away, and then the servants start messing around for selfish gain, and they start destroying what the rich man had created. He never says you have to walk and earn your way to God. He says you start out with God. You guys started out there. You started out in the rich cornucopia of God. You messed it up. You messed up when he wasn't looking. in your mind. And now you have to walk back. But it's never God as something that we have to earn. We start there. Isn't that a beautiful thing to tell the people? We start there. And then if we don't pay attention, if we aren't good stewards, we do start whittling away at it, whittling away at it. And then we have to walk back. We have to work our way back to the rich estate, to the beautiful wedding. Weddings were beautiful. They were days on end. Food, party. It was wonderful. Do you hear? So, they wanted to hear him, and they wanted to understand. Jesus is talking about God energy. And with God energy, you can mold your choices. We climb back to the energy of God. So I wanted to share with you a quick story that came to me. When I was being with this and sitting with this, the fact that the people wanted to see him and their human perspective of it. The human perspective of how do I view it based on what I know about me. I was reminded of a time when I was in school. I was probably 33, single mom. I was studying Rohan therapy, and I was at another type of class at the school where I studied. It was up in the mountains. And I met Mauricio Penicet. He had come to the class. He was a man from Brazil who would bring these lights through his body, and they would go out of his body and they would heal people, and you could literally see them. They were visual and liquid in appearance. And so our class was blessed with the opportunity to see him, and he was going to call forth light beings on the other side. He was going to call them forth. So we all went out to the woods. They had plenty of land. Out to the woods, and Mauricio's behind us, and we're all excited because he's going to call forth these light beings. He's praying. He loves God with all his heart and soul. He is praying so hard. And in front of us, there's trees. You could see, whoosh, a huge ball of light appear. And it was almost liquid. It wasn't like formless. It had a form to it. And it was liquid white. And it was almost as big as this room in the trees. And you could see leaves in front and no leaves behind. You couldn't see through it. Do you see what I'm saying? And there were no leaves shadowing it. And I was stunned immediately. There's no shadow of the leaves on that light. What is that light? It's a form. And and it went to the trees, then up into the sky. And then he did it again, and another big, huge ball would occur, and another big, huge ball. And we're like going, oh, thank you, God. Come on, light beings, we love you. You know, we're feeling love. And I turned, and there was a path coming up to the mountain. And up the path was a ball about this big, again, round and liquidy, but had form. White, shining, coming, like bouncing like it was walking, but it was above the path, like this, walking. And I went, oh my God. And so this light's walking toward us. And as soon as everybody's attention went toward it, it went a different direction. And then I heard Mauricio had fainted. So I'm like, we're caught in this beautiful energy. Oh, they're so close, they're so close. Oh my God, they're so close. The light beings, master beings are coming. Mauricio's down. Go back to the thing, and they were taking Mauricio back to the house. So, the school. So I was one of the first ones there, of course, because I wanted to see. They had said that when Mauricio does these big demonstrations, a cross appears in his body that's full of blood. It bleeds through, like he's been cut. And I wanted to see. Of course, I'm feeling love. I'm feeling love and light. I was the first one, as they set him in the chair, by him, I unbuttoned his shirt. And you could see not just this kind of cross, it was ornate. Bleeding on his chest, the edges of it, from the intense energy that he had exerted. And I was a beautiful metaphysician. I knew enough. And I'm going, why does he have to hurt? And I'm loving on him, just, oh, bless your heart. And I'm, why does he have to hurt? And Spirit told me, he is from Brazil. This is a part of the culture. The physical demonstration in the physical body, and they're Catholic. This is a part of their culture. This is what he would have been programmed to do for a demonstration. And I'm loving on him, and I thought, yeah, I get it, I see. And immediately, I was sure and certain. I was afraid. I could see the light beams. I could see him. I could see the light beams. But I was afraid to see what he saw. Do you hear what I'm saying? I'd seen enough at 33 years. I'd seen enough miracles. That was awesome to me. I loved it. Didn't question it 1 second. It was just another beautiful gift from God. But when I stood and looked at him and thought, oh my God, the door is open. I can walk through that door and see what Mauricio sees. I couldn't go through the door. I couldn't do it. Because the humanness of me was afraid. Do you see what I'm saying? I think this parallels that human experience of the people who follow Jesus. They could see and they could hear, but could they go through the door to see through his eyes? To see the greater through his eyes? You know, I was a young girl, I was 33, and you know, my concerns were, well, I've got a baby to feed, I've got to make, boy, if I go through that door, I don't know what's going to happen, may be out of this world, I may not be able to make it, I don't know. Do you hear all the stuff? All the responsibility that I've got to do here. You know, when Jesus says, believe in me, it's not like blind faith. It's not like, oh yeah, another great miracle, cool, do something else. It's like, believe in me, walk through the door to me, and see through my eyes who you are, what you can do, and what you can be. Believe in me. There's so much to this world. And every time you have one of these magnificent experiences where you see matter move in a way it shouldn't, and you see spirit, and you get this great insight of what's happening on the other planes, every time that happens, you know what happens in your world. You wake up the next morning and your guidance is go love everybody. Go love everybody. Do you understand that? I think I know what the lamas experience when they go to the mountaintop and they're able to love God totally and completely. I think I've been there. I think I've had incarnations where I've isolated myself and just loved God. And when you do that, you are capable of mastering energy and matter. But you get thrown back on the earth plane because you have not mastered human relationships. But what if we could use the insights of energy as we deal with loving each other? What if we could use that? Where we see their soul, we see their heart. We see our own soul, our own heart. And we let our visions open to the fact that we are spirit. You can move a mountain. You can calm the waves. You can calm the land. Just do it. What if we looked at one another that way? Wouldn't that be fabulous? I would love it if someone said to me, when I'm whining, Cindy, move that mountain. Okay. I mean, I would grumble at them for a second. And then I'd move the mountain. Because I can. When you read that last week and you go into the Last Supper and you read all the things he's telling them and all the things he's trying to guide them with, your feet, your understanding, he's opening the door one thing after the other for them to understand energy. To have a connection with God when he is gone. When the teacher is no longer in the physical. To have that connection with God so they can see. Begin to see with his eyes. Can you feel your spirit stirring?
Yes.
I mean, do you want to see differently? Do you want to see higher, better, greater?
Yes.
And I can tell you after several years of being here, they don't pop you off the planet when you start seeing higher. You still have to go back and do your work. You still have to go back and look. So, our course in human consciousness. You are so divine. You are so perfect. It's time. All right, let's put our feet on the floor. God, we ask that a beautiful column of light just drench this entire place. And I ask that your love, an inner column of your love, engulf each one here. And as we breathe, I ask that that beautiful light of your love pour deep within the cells, the mind, the heart, the spirit. And I want you to allow your focus to go to your heart. And for 1 minute or a second, just say to yourself, I am the love of God. I am the love of God. I am the love of God. Now imagine a beautiful light lifting from your heart to the brow chakra between your eyes. And feel it like a little pyramid engulfing your physical eyes and your spiritual eye. I see with the eyes of God. I see with the eyes of God. I see with the eyes of God. Let your focus come back to your heart. Just feel that beautiful presence of Jesus Christ by your side. Look into his eyes and feel the love. The love he has for you. And now let your heart open and just send the love you have for him. Feel that connection that is always there. Take a breath and let your awareness come back to your body. Feel the divinity of your body. You are energy. You are love expressing. Father, Mother God, bless this group and let everyone feel the opening of their vision to the level that they choose as we all grow and expand in our own way. And thank you. And so it is. Take a breath. Send your love into the room. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes. Christing in every moment. Stay in love and look for the energy. If we can stay in love and look for the energy, we will always find the God message in everything.